Section 1 of Robert Graves. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Robert Graves, a collection of poems written by Robert Graves. Section 1. In the Wilderness. Christ of his gentleness, thirsting and hungering, walked in the wilderness. Soft words of grace he spoke. He spoke unto lost desert folk that listened wondering. He heard the bitterns call from ruined palace wall, answered them brotherly. He held communion with the she-pelican of lonely piety. Basilisk, cockatrice, flocked to his homilies, with mail of dread device, with monstrous barbed stings, with eager dragon eyes, great bats on leathern wings, and poor blind broken things, foul in their miseries, and ever with him went, of all his wanderings, comrade with ragged coat, gaunt ribs, poor innocent, bleeding foot, burning throat, the guileless old scapegoat, for 40 nights and days followed in Jesus' ways, sure guard behind him kept, tears like a lover wept. A boy in church. Gabble, gabble, brethren, gabble, gabble. My window frames, forest and heather. I hardly hear the tuneful babble, not knowing nor much caring whether the text is praise or exhortation, prayer or thanksgiving, or damnation. Outside it blows wetter and wetter. The tossing trees never stay still. I shift my elbows to catch better the full round sweep of heathered hill. The tortured copse bends to and fro, in silence like a shadow show. The parson's voice runs like a river over smooth rocks. I like this church. The pews are staid. They never shiver. They never bend or sway or lurch. Prayer, says the kind voice, is a chain that draws down grace from heaven again. I add the hymns up, over and over, until there's not the least mistake. 771. Look, there's a plover. It's gone. Who's that saint by the lake? The red light from his mantle passes across the broad memorial brasses. It's pleasant here for dreams and thinking, lolling and letting reason nod, with ugly serious people linking sad prayers to a forgiving God. But a dumb blast sets the trees swaying, with furious zeal like madmen praying. Escape. August 6, 1916. Officer previously reported died of wounds, now reported wounded. Graves, Captain, R. Royal Welsh Fusiliers. But I was dead, an hour or more. I woke when I'd already passed the door that Cerberus guards, and halfway down the road to Leith, as an old Greek signpost showed. Above me, on my stretcher, swinging by, I saw new stars in the subterrene sky. Across, a rose in bloom, a cage with bars, and a barbed arrow feathered in fine stars. I felt the vapors of forgetfulness float in my nostrils. Oh, may heaven bless dear Lady Proserpine, who saw me wake, and stooping over me, for Enna's sake, cleared my poor buzzing head and sent me back, breathless, with leaping heart along the track. After me roared and clattered angry hosts of demons, heroes, and policemen ghosts. Life, life, I can't be dead. I won't be dead. Damned if I'll die for anyone, I said. Cerberus stands and grins above me now, wearing 3 heads, lion and lynx and sow. Quick, revolver, but my Webley's gone. Stolen, no bombs, no knife. The crowd swarms on, bellows, hurls stones, not even a honeyed sop. Nothing. Good Cerberus, good dog, but stop. Stay. A great luminous thought. I do believe there's still some morphia that I brought on leave. Then swiftly Cerberus's wide mouths I cram with army biscuit smeared with ration jam, and sleep lurks in the luscious plum and apple. He crunches, swallows, stiffens, seems to grapple with the all-powerful poppy. Then a snore, a crash. The beast blocks up the corridor with monstrous hairy carcass, read and done. Too late, for I've sped through. O life, O sun! Vain and careless. Lady, lovely lady, careless and gay, once when a beggar called, she gave her child away. The beggar took the baby, wrapped it in a shawl. Bring her back, the lady said, next time you call. Hard by lived a vain man, so vain and so proud, he walked on stilts to be seen by the crowd. Up above the chimney pots, tall as a mast, and all the people ran about shouting till he passed. A splendid match, surely, neighbors saw it plain, although she is so careless, although he is so vain. But the lady played Bob Cherry, did not see or care, as the vain man went by her aloft in the air. This gentle-born couple lived and died apart. Water will not mix with oil, nor vain with careless heart. Pot and kettle. Come close to me, dear Annie, while I bind a lover's knot, a tale of burning love between a kettle and a pot. The pot was stalwart iron, and the kettle trusty tin, and though their sides were black with smoke, they bubbled love within. Forget that kettle, Jamie, and that pot of boiling broth. I know a dismal story of a candle and a moth. For while your pot is boiling, and while your kettle sings, my moth makes love to candle flame, and burns away his wings. Your moth I envy, Annie, that died by candle flame. But here are two more lovers, unto no damage came. There was a cuckoo loved a clock, and found her always true. For every hour they told their hearts, ring, ting, cuckoo, cuckoo. As the pot boiled for the kettle, as the kettle for the pot, so boils my love within me till my breast is glowing hot. As the moth died for the candle, so could I die for you. And my fond heart beats time with yours and cries, cuckoo, cuckoo. Song, One Hard Look. Small gnats that fly in hot July, and lodge in sleeping ears, can rouse therein a trumpet's din with day of judgment fears. Small mice at night can wake more fright than lions at midday. A straw will crack the camel's back, there is no easier way. One smile relieves a heart that grieves, though deadly sad it be, and one hard look can close the book that lovers love to see. Dickie. Mother, oh, what a heavy sigh! Dickie, are you ailing? Dickie. Even by this fireside, mother, my heart is failing. Tonight across the down, whistling and jolly, I sauntered out from town with my stick of holly. Bounteous and cool from sea, the wind was blowing, cloud shadows under the moon, coming and going. I sang old roaring songs, ran and leaped quick, and turned home by St. Swithin's, twirling my stick. And there I was passing the churchyard gate. An old man stopped me. Dickie, you're walking late. I did not know the man. I grew afeard at his lean lolling jaw, his spreading beard, his garments old and musty, of antique cut, his body very lean and bony, his eyes tight shut. Oh, even to tell it now my courage ebbs. His face was clay, mother, his beard cobwebs. In that horrid pause, good night, he said, entered and clicked the gate. Each to his bed. Mother, do not sigh or fear, Dickie. How is it right to grudge the dead their ghostly dark and wan moonlight? We have the glorious sun, lamp, and fireside. Grudge not the dead their moonbeams when abroad they ride. Ghost rattled. Come, surly fellow, come, a song. What, madman? Sing to you? Choose from the clouded tales of wrong and terror I bring to you, of a night so torn with cries, honest men sleeping, start awake with glaring eyes, bone-chilled, flesh creeping, of spirits in the web-hung room up above the stable, groans, knockings in the gloom, the dancing table, of demons in the dry well that cheep and mutter, clang of an unseen bell, blood choking the gutter, of lust frightful, past belief, lurking unforgotten, unrestrainable, endless grief from breasts long rotten. A song? What laughter or what song can this house remember? Do flowers and butterflies belong to a blind December? Alley, alley, call the birds in, the birds from the sky. Alley calls, alley sings. Down they all fly. First there came 2 white doves, then a sparrow from his nest, then a clucking bantam hen, then a robin redbreast. Alley calls the beasts in, the beasts every one. Alley calls, alley sings. In they all run. First there came 2 black lambs, then a grunting Berkshire sow, then a dog without a tail, then a red and white cow. Alley, call the fish up, the fish from the stream. Alley calls, alley sings, up they all swim. First there came 2 goldfish, a minnow and a miller's thumb, then a pair of spotted trout, then the twisting eels come. Alley, call the children, children from the green. Alley calls, alley sings. Soon they run in. First there came Tom and Madge, Kate and I, who'll never forget how we played by the water's edge till the April sun set. A frosty night. Mother, Alice dear, what ails you, dazed and white and shaken? Has the chill night numbed you? Is it fright you have taken? Alice, Mother, I am very well. I felt never better. Mother, do not hold me so. Let me write my letter. Mother, sweet, my dear, what ails you? Alice, no, but I am well. The night was cold and frosty. There's no more to tell. Mother, aye, the night was frosty. Coldly gaped the moon, yet the birds seemed twittering through green boughs of June. Soft and thick the snow lay. Stars danced in the sky. Not all the lambs of May Day skipped so bold and high. Your feet were dancing, Alice, seemed to dance on air. You looked a ghost or angel in the starlight there. Your eyes were frosted starlight, your heart fire and snow. Who was it said, I love you? Alice, Mother, let me go. Rocky Acres. This is a wild land, country of my choice, with harsh, craggy mountain, moor ample and bare. Seldom in these acres is heard any voice but voice of cold water that runs here and there, through rocks and lank heather growing without care. No mice in the heath run, nor no birds cry for fear of the dark speck that floats in the sky. He soars and he hovers rocky on his wings. He scans his wide parish with a sharp eye. He catches the trembling of small hidden things. He tears them in pieces, dropping from the sky. Tenderness and pity the land will deny, where life is but nourished from water and rock, a hardy adventure, full of fear and shock. Time has never journeyed to this lost land. Crakeberries and heather bloom out of date. The rocks jut, the streams flow singing on either hand, careless if the season be early or late. The skies wander overhead, now blue, now slate. Winter would be known by his cold cutting snow if June did not borrow his armor also. Yet this is my country, beloved by me best, the first land that rose from chaos and the flood, nursing no fat valleys for comfort and rest, trampled by no hard hooves, stained with no blood, bold immortal country whose hilltops have stood strongholds for the proud gods when on earth they go, terror for fat burghers in far plains below. A lover since childhood. Tangled in thought am I, stumble in speech do I blunder and blush for the reason why? Wander aloof do I, lean over gates and sigh, making friends with the bee and the butterfly. If thus and thus I do, dazed by the thought of you, walking my sorrowful way in the early dew, my heart cut through and through in this despair for you, starved for a word or a look, will my hope renew. Give then a thought for me, walking so miserably, wanting relief in the friendship of flower or tree. Do but remember, we once in love could agree. Swallow your pride, let us be as we used to be. A crusader. Death, eager always to pretend himself my servant in the land of spears, humble allegiance at the end broke where the homeward track your castle nears. Let his white steed before my red steed press, and wrapped you from me into quietness. The ridge top. Below the ridge a raven flew, and we heard the lost curlew mourning out of sight below. Mountain tops were touched with snow. Even the long dividing plain showed no wealth of sheep or grain, but fields of boulders lay like corn. And ravens croak with shepherd's horn to slow cloud shadow straight across the pasture of thin heath and moss. The north wind rose. I saw him press with lusty force against your dress, molding your body's inward grace, and streaming off from your set face. So now no longer flesh and blood, but poised in marble thought you stood. O wingless victory, love to men, who could withstand your triumph then? Song of Contrariety. Far away is close at hand, close joined is far away. Love might come at your command, yet will not stay. At summons of your dream despair she could not disobey, but slid close down beside you there, and complacent lay. Yet now her flesh and blood consent in waking hours of day. Joy and passion both are spent, fading clean away. Is the presence of empty air? Is the spectre clay that love, lent substance by despair, wanes and leaves you lonely there on the bridal day? End of section 1. Section 2 of Robert Graves, a collection of poems written by Robert Graves. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Section 2. A forced music. Of love he sang, full-hearted one, but when the song was done, the king demanded more, aye, and commanded more. The boy found nothing for encore, words, melodies, none. Ashamed, the song's glad rise and plaintive fall had so charmed king and queen and all. He sang the same verse once again, but urging less love's pain with altered time and key. He showed variety, seemed to refresh the harmony of his only strain, so still the glad rise and the plaintive fall could charm the king, the queen, and all. He of his song then wearying ceased, but was not yet released. The queen's request was more, and her behest was more. He played of random notes some score, and found his rhymes at least, then suddenly let his twangling harp down fall, and fled in tears from king and queen, and all. I am the star of morning. I am the star of morning, poised between the dead night and the coming of the sun, yet neither relic of the dark nor pointing the angry day to come. My virtue is my own, a mild light, an enduring peace, and the remembering ancient tribes of birds sing blithest at my showing. Only man sleeps on, and stirs rebellious in his sleep. Lucifer, Lucifer am I, millstone crushed, between conflicting powers of doubleness. By envious night lost in her myriad more counterfeit glints, in daytime quite overwhelmed by tyrant blazing of the warrior sun. Yet some, my prophets, who at midnight hold me fixedly framed in their observant glass, by daylight also, sinking well shafts deep for water and for coolness of pure thought, gaze up and far above them see me shining, me, single-natured, without gender, one, the only spark of Godhead unresolved. The north window. When the chapel is lit and sonorous with plowman's praise, when matron and child crouch low to the Lord of days, when the windows are shields of grayness all about, for the glowing lamps within and the storm without, on this eve of all souls, suicides too have souls, The damned to the northward rise from their tablets and scrolls, with infants unbaptized that lie without ease, with women betrayed, their mothers, who murdered these. They make them a furious chapel of wind and gloom, with southward one stained window, the hour of doom, lit up by the lamp of the righteous beaming through, with the scene reversed and the legend backwards too, displaying in scarlet and gold the Creator who damns, who has thrust on his left the bleating sheep and the lambs, who has fixed on his right the goats and kids accursed, with Omega, Alpha, restoring the last as first. Then the psalms of God that issue hence or thence ring blasphemy each to the other's omnipotence. The Rainbow and the Skeptic. Degrees of God, of one prime cause, predestinate for men whose only knowledge of such laws is change and change again. Made free or fated, what care I in truth's grand overthrow? Since knowledge is but folly's spy, it is not sane to know. For fate a word of trivial sense, and freedom is knocked blind, if there is nowhere permanence, if God can change his mind. Disconsolate and strange enough, he walked the forest side. The sun blazed out, the shower drew off, the rainbow straddled wide. It stained with red the chalky road, it leapt from sea to hill. A second arch more faintly showed, a third arch faintlier still. The black, blaspheming, furious mood passed from him gradually. Wry-mouthed in cynic pause he stood and smiled. The golden key, the elf key at the rainbow's rise, watch it and walk with care. It vanishes beneath your eyes, it passes on elsewhere. So laws like rainbows move and mock, so wisdom never brings the airy treasure to unlock the essential heart of things. A spirit of air in answer spoke with strange and solemn sense. Music and light about him broke in seven-toned effulgence. Man, man, accept this new decree of beauty as you go. Observe the march of what must be, the bend of each new bow. Then, since laws move in rainbow light, let faith be therefore strong, that change can never prove you right, nor either prove you wrong. Shall time the present judge time past, once blotted from its view? Each key must vary from the last, because each lock springs new. Knowledge of changing lock and key, so much the finite is. Let the bow beckon, follow me, whose hopes are certainties. Yet beyond all this, rest content in dumbness to revere infinite God without event, causeless, not there, not here, neither eternal nor time-bound, not certain nor in change, uncancelled by the cosmic round, nor crushed within its range. Diplomatic relations. King George, still powder-grimed from Dettingen, called in thick tones, "My lord, fetch ink and pen. I'll write a threatening note in my own hand. This Chinese potentate must understand that Britons have a quenchless fame to brag. No insult shall defy our glorious flag." 2 Bristol ships at Hankow, fetching tea, boarded and robbed at wharfside as they lay of a costly cargo. "Ah, sir, let me boast, my fleet stands ready to bombard your coast. If meek apologies be not forthcoming, my fusiliers must through Peking go drumming, or shall eat dust, do ye hear, you knavish fellow, or we shall tan your hide a deeper yellow. 10 ships shall yearly visit your chief ports, with mirrors, beads, and clothing of all sorts, carried decorum to your savage parts, with civilization, learning, and the arts. But if so much as a rattle's robbed or broke, your Chinese territory flies up in smoke. You then beware. Signed, Georgius Rex. So, our foreign minister sends this. Take it, go." The foreign minister, reading the piece through, swore by his wig, why, this would never do. Our sovereign trips on all the finer points of English speech, confuses, blurs, disjoints. To send this note is blood, it were most unwise. Suppose it intercepted by French spies? Langues du Roi, I hear their mocking tone. Dunce cap instead of crown, dunce stool for throne. Why, even in China men would laugh to read this halting, odd, misspelt, improbable screed. But stay, our sovereign would surely please, translating him his note into Chinese. Li Cheng will do it, then there be no call to pawn our honor with the original. Li Cheng, the bondsman tea-man with meek eyes, performed the service, showing no surprise, though inwardly enraged and jealous for the sacred majesty of his emperor. How faithful his translation, who can say? George signed it merrily, and it reached Cathay. The emperor from his summer terraces claps hands for ink and sable paint-brushes, and writes with care a special declaration to the loyal governor of the British nation, commiserating with that luckless one by seas exiled from his imperial son on such outcast and pariah-like condition. We note the abject tone of your petition, and sorry excuses for your impotence is thus soliciting our magnificence. Then, though we cannot in the Atlas hit on a Chinese province or sub-province, Britain, we graciously will, none the less, allow 10 yearly junks to harbor at Hankow, with skins, blubber, oil, and such like pelting stuff. Indeed, 5 junk loads would be quite enough. Formal permission signed, your God. So, our foreign minister sends this. Take it, go. The foreign minister, reading the piece through, swore by his pigtail, this will never do. Our emperor neglects the niceties, indeed the major rules of court Chinese. Our iron-helmed Manchu god in battle shock, or warrior council, sits as firm as rock. But as for drafting edict, note or letter, my 6-year-old could do as well. Aye, better. Can I permit my sovereign's reputation to sink even in a heathen's estimation? I'll tactfully propose it more correct to send this note in British dialect. Ned Gunn, the boxing teacher at Nanking, will soon translate the odd, fantastic thing. Ned Gunn, a stolid sailor with bold eyes, performed the service, showing no surprise. Though loyal to the death, he felt his gorge mount at this insult to victorious George. His English version, which he owned was free, the emperor signed, frowned, sent it oversea. George read the note, puffed out his cheeks, began. He takes his medicine like a sensible man, apologizes humbly, swears to behave with fawning loyalty of dog or slave, sadly admits his color far from white, and trusts this missive is not impolite, longs for our British cargoes rich and strange, has only trash to offer in exchange. May your red, white, and blue still rule the main, and countless Dettingens be fought again. God save the king. Kowtow, success to barter. George swore we must reward him with the garter. Alice. When that prime heroine of our nation, Alice, climbing courageously in through the palace of looking-glass, found it inhabited by chess-board personages, white and red, involved in never-ending tournament, she being of true philosophic bent, had long foreshadowed something of this kind, asking herself, suppose I stood behind and viewed the fireplace of their drawing-room from hearth-rug level. Why must I assume that what I see now must needs correspond with what I saw then? And the rooms beyond, why should they pair with our rooms? She was right. An earlier Einstein, whom the laws of light and Euclid's begged the question fallacies, could not convince. A mastermind was Alice's. Moreover, uncontent with what she had done, Alice decided to enlarge her fun, setting herself with proper British phlegm, in simple faith and simple stratagem, to learn the rules and moves and perfect them. So prosperously there she settled down that 6 moves only and she'd won her crown. A triumph, surely, but her greater feat was rounding these adventures off complete, accepting them when safe returned again. As queer but true, not merely in the main, true but as true as anything you'd swear to, not worse or better than the life we are heir to, the waking life which, but I cannot say why, we worship as the sole reality. For Alice, though a child, could understand that neither did this chance-discovered land make nohow or contrariwise the clean dull round of mid-Victorian routine, nor did Victoria's golden rule extend beyond the glass. It came to the dead end where formal logic also comes. Thereafter begins that lubberland of dream and laughter, the red and white flower-spangled hedge, the grass where Apuleius pastured his gold ass, where young Gargantua bade full holiday. But further from our heroine, not to stray, let us observe with what uncommon sense, through a secure and easy reference, between Red Queen and kitten could be found. She made no false assumption on that ground, a trap in which the scientist would fall, that queens and kittens are identical. The presence. Why say death? For death's neither harsh nor kind. Other pleasures or pains could hold the mind if she were dead, for dead is gone indeed, lost beyond recovery and need, discarded, ended, rotted underground, of whom no personal feature could be found to stand out from the soft blur evenly spread on memory, if she were truly dead. But living still, barred from accustomed use of body and dress and motion, in abuse of loving kindness, for our anguish, too, denies we love her as we swear we do. She fills the house and garden terribly with her bewilderment, accusingly enforcing her too sharp identity, till every stone and flower, bottle and book, cries out her name, pierces us with her look. You are deaf, hear me. You are blind, see me. How deaf or blind, when horror unrelieved maddens the mind with those same pangs that lately choked her breath, and changed her substance, but have brought no death. From our ghostly enemy. The fire was already white ash when the lamp went out, and the clock at that signal stopped. The man in the chair held his breath as if death were about. The moon shone bright as a lily on his books outspread. He could read in that lily's light. When you have endured your fill, kill, the book read. The print being small for his eyes, to ease their strain a hasty candle he lit, keeping the page with his thumb. Come, those words again! But the book he held in his hand, and the page he held, spelt prayers for the sick and needy. By God, they are wanted here. With fear his heart swelled. I know of an attic ghost, of a cellar ghost, and one that stalks in the meadows. But here's the spirit I dread, he said, the most, who, without voice or body, distresses me much, twists the ill to holy, holy to ill, confuses me, out of reach of speech or touch, who works by moon or by noon, threatening my life. I am sick and needy indeed. He went then, filled with despairs, upstairs to his wife. He told her those things, adding this morning alone, writing, I felt for a matchbox. It rose up into my hand, understand, on its own. In the garden yesterday, as I walked by the beds, with the tail of my eye I caught death within 12 hours, written in flowers' heads. She answered him, simple advice, but new, he thought, and true. Husband, of this be sure, that whom you fear the most, this ghost fears you. Speak to the ghost and tell him, whoever you be, ghost, my anguish equals yours. Let our cruelties therefore end. Your friend let me be. He spoke, and the ghost, who knew not how he plagued the man, ceased, and the lamp was lit again, and the dumb clock ticked again, and the reign of peace began. End of Section 2. End of Robert Graves. A collection of poetry written by Robert Graves.